Hi there, everyone. Happy November 7th, 2019. Wow, we're getting close to 2020. This is Charles Chat, which is a weekly video log that I am producing now. Been going on for a few months, and usually try to keep these logs to about 4 to 5 minutes and talk about things that are on my heart via video. So today I was thinking a little bit on my way to church. I'm actually in my church office, a little bit about some of the resources that we have as Christians to battle pornography. There are lots of good spiritual resources that God equips us to handle every sin, and pornography is one of those kind of unspoken of sins. I see men especially struggling with pornography a lot more than they admit. It is one of the most predominant things I think the modern church is wrestling with, but perhaps not arming itself very well for. And I want to talk about one of those weapons that we have for battling pornography. Before I talk about it, let me read some verses for you. This is out of Ephesians chapter 5, verses 3 to 4. Paul, in writing to the church in Ephesus, says, "But among you there must not even be a hint of sexual immorality or of any kind of impurity or of greed, because these are improper for God's holy people. Nor should there be obscenity, foolish talk, or coarse joking, which are out of place." And then Paul says, "But rather thanksgiving." So after condemning all these forms of sexual immorality, he says, instead of that, be thankful. Gratitude is a practice. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 tells us that we ought to be thankful in all circumstances. Gratitude is one of those opportunities we have each and every day to not only show God that we are thankful for what He's doing, but also to show others. It's one of the ways that we practice humility, but it's another way that we actually fight pornography. And here's why. Or not just pornography, I'd say just back up and lust in general, because when someone is entrenched in or enslaved in some way to viewing pornography, they are viewing people as objects. They're not viewing them as people. They're not viewing them as people that are made in the image of God. So a person, therefore, becomes an object, which is just an object for their own pleasure. In his book, Finally Free, Heath Lambert says this on, I guess this is on page 130. He says, "Lust guarantees that as soon as you possess the object of your longing, you'll get a new greedy desire for something more. This explains why marriage isn't the cure for lust or masturbation that many singles believe it will be. Once a man has a wife, he starts wanting the next thing that he does not have. This is a vicious cycle of lust. Lust never has what it wants because it never has enough. Lust steals joy by creating an endless state of discontentment and the constant search for that one thing you don't have yet. Lust is never happy because lust is never full." A few pages before, he says, "Gratitude is an attitude of a heart that is thankful for anything and everything the Lord gives. You're grateful when you're glad for it and content with what you have. Thankfulness is the opposite of lust, because the thankful heart has stopped prowling around for everything it doesn't have and is overwhelmed with appreciation for all the good things it already possesses. The logic of lust requires you to be discontent with what you have and pay attention to all the things you don't have. The logic of thankfulness requires you to focus on what you have already received and be overcome with thanks. Gratitude is the opposite of greed, or you might say of lust." And so I would encourage you, if you are a counselor who often speaks, or a discipler who often speaks with men or women struggling with pornography, or if you yourself are struggling with that form of sexual immorality, practice gratitude. Give your heart reasons to be thankful. Make a list, perhaps right now, of 20 or 25 things that you're thankful for, and keep it in your back pocket. The next time you're tempted to think lustfully after another man or another woman, break that list out and start thanking God instead. You need to retrain your mind into thinking of people not as objects for your pleasure, but as people made in the image of God, people that we ought to be thankful for. And we have a lot to be thankful for. So I'd encourage you, think of gratitude as a spiritual resource for fighting the battle against lust.